Good morning and welcome to our weekly press conference. Washington, D.C.'s favorite holiday, Tax Day, is coming up soon. It's a reminder of the stark contrast between the high tax and higher spending policies coming out of Washington, D.C. and our lower taxes, more jobs policies here in Montana. With our pro-jobs, pro-business agenda, we're creating an environment where more Montanans can thrive, prosper, and achieve the American dream. And we're unleashing the engine of economic growth, business development, and job creation that for too long has sputtered here in Montana. Earlier this session, we delivered the largest tax cut in Montana history, and I can't say that enough, the largest tax cut in Montana history. And we did it in record time. Providing meaningful tax relief is critical, especially as inflation eats away at Montanans' paychecks. It's harder and harder to make ends meet when prices are rising like this, driven by reckless, out-of-control federal spending. That's why we are putting money back in Montanans' pockets through permanent, long-term tax relief. These historic tax cuts will not only help hardworking Montana families and small business owners keep more of what they earn, but they will also help improve our business climate, grow our economy, and create greater opportunity for more Montanans. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Montana is open for business. For too long, the income tax rate most Montanans pay has been too high. It's been a drag on our economy, a disincentive for job creation, and a burden on Montana families. So we permanently cut the tax rate that most Montanans pay from 6.9% in 2021 to 5.9%. We're providing long-term relief and certainty to families, small business owners, and hardworking Montanans. And we tripled the state's earned income tax credit to provide even more tax relief for lower-income working Montanans. Montana taxpayers at every income level will see an income tax cut. With small business owners, family farmers, and family ranchers in mind, we also reformed the business equipment tax, raising the exemption to $1 million for every small business in Montana. That's 10 times the exemption level from when I took office. Since taking office, this action has eliminated this tax burden for more than 5,000 Montana small businesses, farms, and ranches, so they can grow their operations and get more Montanans into good-paying jobs. We also made our capital gains tax code clearer and easier to understand, and in the process, we reduced Montana's capital gains tax rate to the 4th lowest in the nation. This tax reform will help Montana family homeowners, farmers, ranchers, and retirees. To further encourage job creators to do business in Montana, we modernized the state's corporate income tax code as well, making Montana an even better place for businesses to build out their operations and invest in our communities and our people. We did this all while budgeting conservatively and responsibly. It's a monumental day for a family when they pay off their debt, whether it's a credit card, a car loan, or a mortgage. It was equally exciting for us here in Montana just a few weeks ago when we made Montana debt-free here in 2023. Thanks to our fiscal responsibility, we paid off all of our general obligation debt, and this action saved Montanans $40 million over the next 2 years alone. And I'm thrilled our tax reforms and historic tax relief will make a real, meaningful difference for all Montanans. Thanks to our conservative leadership, Montana's fiscal position is stronger than what we're seeing on the federal level and in other states. On the federal level, the Biden administration is committed to raising taxes, spending recklessly, and driving up the national debt that our kids and grandkids are going to have to pay back. Following the federal government's lead, California and New York are doing the same thing. According to a report out just last week, their job-crushing, high-tax environment is driving people to flee those two states in particular. In fact, Tax revenues in New York and California are falling despite higher and higher tax rates. New York's annual budget deficit is projected to grow to $6 billion by 2027. And in California is looking at an annual deficit of $22 billion just 6 months after reporting a surplus. It's proof that higher taxes and reckless spending bring disastrous results. Higher taxes means less take-home pay. Higher taxes means less job creation and opportunity. Higher taxes mean a greater burden on hardworking Montanans. Higher taxes mean more of our kids leave the state. Montana taxpayers entrust us to be good stewards of their hard-earned dollars. And I'm proud that our budget made for Montana families fulfills that trust. While our budget is historic for its tax cuts, providing tax relief to Montana taxpayers at every income level, it's also fiscally responsible. It's balanced, holds the line on new spending, and avoids cuts to essential services. Our budget spurs job creation, boosts education, and opens the door of greater opportunity for more hardworking Montanans. And it makes our families and communities stronger. But better opportunities, from more good-paying jobs to investments in education to greater access to affordable workforce housing, don't mean much when Montanans look over their shoulders and are worried about their safety or that of their community. That's why building safer, stronger communities is another pillar of our budget. And we're working with the legislature to get the rest of our pro-family, pro-jobs, fiscally conservative budget for Montana families across the finish line. Let's get it done. Now more than ever, we must boost our law enforcement efforts and funding. Government's chief responsibility is to keep citizens safe. Yesterday, I was proud to stand with leaders who share that same mission. Attorney General Austin Knudsen, Montana Highway Patrol Colonel Steve Lavin, Lee Johnson, Investigations Bureau Chief for the Division of Criminal Investigation, and 5 Highway Patrol troopers. Here's what I heard. Violent crime is up in Montana and nationwide. Fentanyl confiscations are up nearly 11,000% just since 2019. And law enforcement is stretched thinner than they ever have been before. Rather than sitting idly by, we are acting. To crack down on criminals, including those pushing dangerous drugs into our communities, our budget supports law enforcement. Our budget funds new Highway Patrol troopers, prosecutors, and criminal investigators at the Montana Department of Justice. Criminal investigation agents will focus on drug trafficking, human trafficking, narcotics, major crimes, and crimes against children. And the new Highway Patrol troopers will combat violent crime and strengthen our drug interdiction programs. Let's be clear. Combating violent crime and building safer, stronger communities requires investments. I urge the Senate to restore the new Highway Patrol troopers, prosecutors, and criminal investigators that we proposed and Montana needs. Let's get it done. I also want to appreciate Representative Marta Bergtugli for her leadership in advocating the use of marijuana revenue to boost funding for law enforcement, correctional officers, and treatment courts. Let's get that done too. And while we crack down on criminals peddling dangerous drugs, we're also focused on expanding access to treatment and recovery for Montanans struggling with addiction. Addiction and violent crime too often go hand in hand with tragic results. For nonviolent offenders, we're focused on treatment. We want more folks to get healthy and reach their full potential, not fall back into the clutches of addiction. That's why our budget permanently funds 8 proven effective drug courts here in Montana across the state that are about to lose federal funding. Instead of turning our backs on those struggling with addiction, we're investing in hope and opportunity as they get clean, sober, and healthy. Let's get it done. And after decades of previous administrations applying Band-Aids and kicking the can down the road, we proposed a $300 million generational investment in our behavioral health system. Representative Bob Keenan and Senator John Esp are leading the effort in the legislature. With it, we'll repair the state hospital, improve patient services, and better secure the safety of patients and providers. And this bill will also support expanded community-based mental health services. Let's get it done. I look forward to getting this funding for law enforcement, treatment services, safer, stronger communities across the finish line. Working with the legislature, we'll get it done. And with that, I'm happy to take some questions. Yes?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you've made any headway with Democrats and Republicans on your child tax credit bill. That was tabled, I guess, earlier in the session.
Yeah, our whole budget is a pro-family package that includes tax cuts, the child tax credit, which I think is a needed relief for young families, the adoption tax credit, which will help get kids into healthy homes. I will continue to work with the legislature, and my direction to them is get it to my desk. Hi, Shaylee.
Governor, thanks for doing this. I have a question about Legislative Services Division just put out an analysis this week showing that we're seeing the most bills that we've seen since 1973. It's a lot of bills. I'm curious just what you make of that, the volume of bills, and whether that will go into consideration for trying to reduce red tape from the state. I think of bills as translating to more policies. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, so the legislature's been busy. I think we had something over 4,600 bill titles reserved originally. Quite a few made it through transmittal. I chalk that up to enthusiastic legislators who are trying to do the right thing for the state of Montana. Not all of them will make it to my desk, but this red tape lens that we look at everything from does influence our decisions on which ones will sign into law. And we're working actively with the legislature to make sure that the bills that they are passing can actually be implemented. Do we have any online questions? Okay, yes.
In regards to boosting law enforcement in the state, where does the Joe Reed's bill, House Bill 479, fall in when it's asking for state reimbursement to Lake County for the law enforcement?
Oh, for PL 280. Yeah, so we need to resolve that situation. Our administration's been directly involved in meeting with county commissioners and tribal leadership there in Lake County. We're watching the legislators, and as those bills make it through, and if they get to my desk, we'll give it full consideration. But we've got to resolve the law enforcement issue in Lake County. Yes?
One more. In asking the Senate to fully fund your law enforcement priorities, and so I hear Department of Justice and the courts, especially the drug courts, I know that's important. I guess I haven't heard any effort to try to get the Senate to fully fund the Office of Public Defender budget request that your office has put forward at the beginning of the session. Is there, do you see the 8 attorneys that they have asked for as adequate, or do you think there should be more adequate?
Yeah, I'll have to get, we've changed leadership at Office of Public Defender. I'm really pleased with the work that Brett Shandelson has been doing. I think he brought a new management culture. We've been filling positions. And we've been advocating to make sure the resources are in the budget so he can continue to do his job. But there's a lot of things still in play here as we go down into these final weeks of the legislature. And again, we're trying to advocate for the resources that are needed to provide essential services, and OPD is certainly one of them. Yeah, Shaylee.
I have one more as well. I'm curious, there's a bill that's been making national headlines now, a proposal to have a jumbo primary for the U.S. Senate race in 2024, primary to have just the top 2 candidates regardless of party advance. Do you have any thoughts on that proposal?
A number of other states have tried things like this. I think it's kind of an interesting idea, but we won't take a firm position until we actually see the final legislation. Good. Thank you for coming in today.